Hello, TT Workshop here. In the audio recording industry, we consumers are having a good time. Speaking of on-camera microphones, good mics are getting cheap and cheap mics are getting good. And today, let's look at my new favorite, the Boya BY-MM1. And in front of me, I have an array of microphones. And this is the main focus for today, the Boya MM1. And here we have the Takstar SGC-598, the Rode VideoMic-Me in lieu of the Videomic-GO. Speaking of this, the Videomic-Me actually used exactly the same capsule as the Videomic-GO, and they sound exactly the same after you use adapter to convert the TRS to TRS. Next, it is the Rode VideoMic-GO, and then the Videomic NTG, and then the last one is my long-time trustworthy Sennheiser ME64 with the K6 power module. However, none of these really matter, because today our main focus is the Boya MM1 with a little bit of comparison to the Videomic Micro or the Mic-Me. First thing first, let's talk about price and what's in the box. This Boya BY-MM1 I purchased with my own money on Amazon, and it cost me $42 Canadian exactly. And at this time of this video, the Takstar SGC-598 would cost you about 55 to 60 Canadian dollars on AliExpress or eBay. The Rode VideoMic-GO would cost you around $84. The Rode VideoMic-GO is $139. The Rode VideoMic NTG would cost you about 359 Canadian dollars, and the Sennheiser ME64 with the K6 module would run you about $500-ish. Once the box is opened, you should get the microphone itself, a shock mount, a deadcat windmuff, a TRS to TRS regular patch cable, and a TRS to TRS adapter cable, and a carrying pouch. I really appreciate the inclusion of the TRS to TRS cable to use with smartphones, as with the Rode VideoMic-GO, you would have to buy their C7 cable or an adapter cable, which will run you about $21 if you go with the Rode brand. The build quality of the Boya MM1 is really good. It feels rugged, and it's very comparable to the Rode VideoMic-Me and the Videomic-GO. The Boya MM1 is slightly longer and thicker than the Rode microphones. The included shock mount is good, but a little bit stiff comparing to the record layer shock mount on the Rode. And in reality, it is slightly inferior when comparing to the Rode one. And the included deadcat, the Boya one is slightly smaller, where the Rode one is larger. And the Boya deadcat is a two-part construction, where you can see and feel the internal is just a foamy, and then surrounded by a deadcat windmuff, where the Rode feels more like the softie style. Speaking of this, one funny thing is that the Rode deadcat really doesn't fit the Rode microphones that well. It's really wobbly and just spins around on the microphone capsule. As you can see, the Rode deadcat fits snugly on the Boya microphone, and it almost seems like designed natively for it. You can also use the Rode record layer shock mount on the BY-MM1, although the BY-MM1 mounting position is slightly narrower than the Rode, so you would have to use some elastic band to fill in the gap. And now let's quickly talk about the specs. The Boya BY-MM1 has a cardioid polar pattern, a frequency response of 35 Hz to 18 kHz, and a sensitivity of -42 dBV. Although I really doubt whether this is the real number, as from other reviews and my own testing, this mic seemed to be much hotter than this. A signal-to-noise ratio of 76 dB SPL, and a self-noise of 18 dB. And by looking at the frequency response curve, we can observe that the Boya BY-MM1 has a fairly flat response in the mid, and below 100 has a very natural round-off. Speaking of the highs, from 3000 to 8000 Hz, it has a somewhat treble boost. It's most present at 5000 kHz. Overall, this is a very common and a very practical frequency response curve for a ENG mic or on-camera mic. The Boya BY-MM1 requires 2.5 volts plug-in power which is not to be confused with phantom power, and most smartphones and cameras supply it. Any device that can work with the Rode VideoMic-Me and the Videomic-GO should work just fine with the Boya as well. Now let's do a sound test. If you haven't noticed yet, you have been listening to the Boya BY-MM1 all this time with it connected to the Zoom H1 recorder, and now I will start to rotate the mic and see the off-axis rejection of this microphone. Now we are at 90 degrees. Here's how the microphone sounds. Now we are at 180 degrees. This is how the microphone sounds. And now we are looking at 270 degrees. And now we are back to the front of the microphone. And now I will test the plosives of this microphone with a method inspired by Podcastage. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Now I will install a record foamy, which I bought for my ME64. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Now the Boya windmuff. Okay, one more time. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Note that in order to reduce plosives, a windscreen is highly recommended for close distance direct miking. And now, this is the audio test against the Rode VideoMic-Me in lieu of the Videomic-Me, because they sound exactly the same. In the front, we have the Boya BY-MM1, and in the rear, we have the Rode VideoMic-Me in lieu of the Videomic-Me. The two microphones are said to be the same gain to my audio interface, and they are at the same distance from my mouth. And you can already see that the Boya seems to have a higher output level. Audio sample. A decade ago, the original Rode VideoMic was the go-to choice and possibly the best choice for your Canon 5D Mark II. A few years ago, good low-budget microphones such as the Rode VideoMic-Me, Videomic-GO, DADD3 started to show up. Audio sample. A decade ago, the original Rode VideoMic was the go-to choice and possibly the best choice for your Canon 5D Mark II. A few years ago, good low-budget microphones such as the Rode VideoMic-Me, Videomic-GO, DADD3 started to show up. Meanwhile, in the no-budget market, microphones like the Boya MM1, a.k.a. the Movo VXR10, also started gaining popularity. End of audio sample. Meanwhile, in the no-budget market, microphones like the Boya MM1, a.k.a. the Movo VXR10, also started gaining popularity. End of audio sample. So, what I found from the test? Well, the Rode VideoMic-Me or the Videomic-Me sounds different than the Boya BY-MM1. To me, the Boya is a fuller sounding mic with no noticeable cut or boost too much. For the Rode, it's less spacier, and to my ears, it just sounds lack of warmth. And the raw recordings showed about 5 decibels difference for sound level, where the Boya is hotter than the Rode. However, in my opinion, this is mostly because of the Rode's frequency response curve, where it cuts heavily below 100 Hz, and it also has a very noticeable low cut or round off from 100 to 1000 kHz. In fact, the Rode has as much as 5 decibels cut at 100 Hz, which is very uncommon. And if we apply a high-pass filter to compensate for this difference to the Boya BY-MM1, then the two mic sounds much closer, where the Boya is only about 1 to 2 decibels hotter than the Rode. Meanwhile, in the no-budget market, microphones like the Boya MM1, a.k.a. the Movo VXR10, also started gaining popularity. End of audio sample. Meanwhile, in the no-budget market, microphones like the Boya MM1, a.k.a. the Movo VXR10, also started gaining popularity. End of audio sample. Meanwhile, in the no-budget market, microphones like the Boya MM1, aka the Movo VXR10, also started gaining popularity. End of audio sample. In other words, I don't necessarily agree with other YouTubers who say the Rode has more treble response. To me, it's not. It's really just the Rode has much less bass, which makes its treble more pronounced. If we cut the bass out from the Boya, then the two mics sound almost the same. And now I'm only about 3 inches away from the Boya BY-MM1 to test the proximity effect. To me, it sounds too boomy and too muddy, so you might need to be careful with that. And next, the wireless interference test. Whether you are using the mic just simply on camera or connecting into a wireless audio system, there are many people found out the hard way that their own Rode VideoMic-Me or Videomic-GO suffer a lot from wireless interference. In this test, I will test the Boya BY-MM1, the Takstar SGC-598, the Rode Videomic-Me or the Videomic-GO, the Videomic-GO, and Videomic NTG with wireless interference. Boya BY-MM1. Takstar SGC-598. Rode VideoMic-Me in lieu of Videomic-GO. Rode Videomic-GO. Interference test. Rode Videomic NTG. Rode Videomic NTG with Boya cable. Here's how the Boya BY-MM1 sounds when there's no windscreen attached. And here's how the Boya BY-MM1 sounds with the Rode softie style deadcat attached. Testing, 1, 2, 3, test. Here's how the Boya mic sound with included deadcat. Testing, 1, 2, 3, test. According to my test, the Rode VideoMic-Me and Videomic-GO does produce less wind noise, and that is mostly because of its unique frequency response curve, which rolls off a lot of information below 1000 Hz. You do sacrifice quite a bit of warmth in the audio for human voice recording. Okay, I think we have a winner here. The Boya BY-MM1, aka the Movo VXR10, is a fantastic small on-camera microphone that sounds like a fuller Rode VideoMic-GO at a fraction of its price without any RF interference issues. The Boya BY-MM1 has a fairly high real-world sensitivity, at least much higher than what the spec sheet says. This should be useful if your camera preamp is not too high quality. Its shock mount and windscreen are good enough for most situations, but do appear to be slightly inferior when compared to the Rode Record accessories. At $40 Canadian, it is absolutely one of the best small on-camera microphones, especially for gimbal work or travel use. It has a fairly flat response curve with a fair boost for treble, which makes a very versatile mic for almost any situation. In my opinion, the Boya's superior resistance to RF interference is enough for me to make the recommendation. But what do you think? Which mic do you think sounds better? Please let me know in the comments. And also like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.